Disney Channel.
What's this podcast called?
Stepsister from Planet Weird.
Podcast from Planet Weird.
Oh,
Luck of the Irish. More like freak me in the eyeballs.
I love this movie.
No!
I told you not to bring up prom in this episode.
Oh, you want to talk about prom, mama? Drama-ka-flama, baby. I was nominated for winner for
God damn it!
King.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year.
can you believe it? I got sick.
Juan is ill. And if you're watching this on youtube.com, if you're a patron, you can see that we are on a Google Meets session. We are in separate houses. A plague upon both our houses. And
I'm Nomeo. You're Juliet.
yes. So, yeah, I don't want to get sick. And so we just figured, let's just do this over FaceTime, Google Meet, whatever. This is episode 292 of Podcast from Planet Weird. And in this one, Juan might not be talking as much, and that's valid. That's valid for him.
It's in my thrussy.
Yes, his throat, he is ill, and because of the American healthcare system, it's expensive to go to the doctor and see what's wrong. So
Let's just say that little old me may not have a little thing called insurance. Which means if I die, I die. There's no fixing it.
If it's not getting better soon, then yeah, definitely go.
And what? Get into trillions of dollars in health insurance and health debt?
Like I said, if you go to the Minute Clinic, you can pay like $100. It's not like you're not taking an ambulance to the hospital.
That's true. I would drive myself.
Yeah, well, they say now to just call an Uber if you need to go to the hospital. Like there's no one to drive you because it's going to be cheaper than an ambulance.
Or phone a friend.
But if you don't have any friends, just walk.
Then if you don't have any friends, fuck.
Just walk to the hospital.
You might as well just give up.
So in today's episode, because it is ANNEuary, that's right, a month celebrating Anne Hathaway cinema.
Can you believe it? Out of all of her movies,
these are two of them.
We could have watched Brokeback Mountain. She's in there.
No, she is in there, but like, does anyone remember her?
She shows titty. I remember that. I was so stunned. I was like,
you remember that? I remember her seeing Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger making out behind the door, and she was like, I pretend not to see it. I pretend not to see it.
As everyone should.
Because who doesn't love Anne Hathaway? We love her, and we were like, let's start off January with a pun, but also with a bang, you know? ANNEuary, we're going to be talking about Hoodwinked today, which is
a movie.
A movie that, like, against all odds, everything was going against it. Like, it was a struggle to get this made. Last night, I spent a good 20 minutes reading the production section of the Wikipedia, because this movie, it has, like, the longest production Wikipedia section that we've had for a movie on this podcast before. Like,
I was gonna say longer than, like, New Mutants, that, like, luckily came out.
No, longer than anything we've talked about on the podcast before, because this one, I didn't know the backstory of
why it was made,
of like how it got made, and how this was like independently done, animated overseas.
You can tell
this was a whole thing, and we'll get into that. And then not next week, but the week after, we will be talking about The Princess Diaries 2 Royal Engagement. Tupicula.
The movie that will make me cry.
Wings and I'll learn how to fly.
I will cry.
Yes, so that will be exciting. Yes. Before we well, first of all, how are you doing? We're recording this on January 5th. How has your New Year been? How were your holidays? Because I haven't seen you.
To quote the iconic Housewives cast, how am I doing? Not well, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, yeah, obviously you're ill. When did you start feeling ill?
let's just say I felt um around 2 to 3 weeks ago, I felt a little suspicion in my body, and I said, "Interesting." And I think it was just because I was like sleeping, like with my fan on still, because I'm insane.
Mm-hmm. I
And so,
sleep sometimes. Sometimes my family turns the heater on, and it gets so hot in my room, so I
well,
have to
because
turn the fan on.
I feel like you and I have like the weirdest rooms in our designated homes where it's like it'll just be either boiling or freezing.
Yeah, the temps are like at highs
Yeah,
in here.
like it's insane. Um, oh, sorry, there's something in my eye. Oh, it's a copy of Bejeweled. Um, uh, what was I saying? Oh, I like felt weird a couple weeks ago. And I wasn't sure if it was just, the weather's changing. You know how people are like, the weather's changing. I'm gonna get all bleh. And so I wasn't, oh my God, I wasn't sure if it was that. And then around Friday, and then I've been going out, like not frequently, but like, enough where I'm like, COVID's gonna get me. COVID's gonna get me. Bleh. Never did. I've taken 2 tests, negativa both times. So am I immune? Am I the divergent? I believe it.
Okay, probably not, but okay.
I want to believe it. Let me believe it. I'm not going to risk it, but I want to believe it. But then Friday night, I was like, something feels a little weird. And then Saturday came. Saturday, the day of New Year's Eve.
Yes.
December the 31st. I said,
Mhm.
something feels very unholy about today. And that's not
Okay.
wrong. Like that, I don't
Okay,
feel that's
Sam
not,
Smith.
yeah. Something like doesn't feel like that. Ew, don't bring him into this house. Get him
Them.
out.
Sam
Don't bring
Smith
them
and,
into this
and
house.
Kim Petras, unholy.
I don't like Sam Smith.
Okay.
I'll be controversial yet brave.
Non-binary phobic.
I wouldn't say that. I just don't like them. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, something just didn't feel right on Saturday, and so I was like, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna do anything. I had like one plan. They canceled because they were like, I woke up sick, y'all, and I said, cool. I don't even have to bother with making up a lie this time. But then I was like, maybe I'll go to this thing that like Frankie invited me to. No. And then someone at like 10 p.m. was like, hey, you want to go out? And I said, Miss Mary, it is 10 p.m. 10 p.m. on New Year's Eve, and you want to go out to the bars where it is crowded as fuck?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take me 30 minutes to just get ready, 30 more minutes to leave my house. Like, I'm going to get there at 11? No. Not for me. And then at that point, I was feeling really depressed and sick. So I got the double whammy, right? Mental illness and physical illness got its clutches on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next morning, I woke up and I said, I was right. I was right. I knew my body. I knew my intuition. The dust. I felt it inside of my body. And I said, disgusting. So
Mm-hmm.
here we are, and here you are.
Are you taking your vitamins? You getting some vitamin C?
No.
Great.
Just flat out. No, I'll probably I'll probably put like some warm water in a cup, right? And put some emergency in there. Some emergency with ginger, because apparently ginger's good for you, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll drink some of that before I head out.
Yeah.
I am going to go get a test done. Not for strep, not for anything, but for the one thing that I can tackle. I will not disclose what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure that it's not that.
Okay, well, in the future, take vitamin C on a regular basis, because that's going to help your immune system.
Not if it's me getting a disease from a dirty hydro flask that I didn't know was that dirty.
Okay, also, yes, this is a PSA to everyone. Clean your hydro flasks.
Fairly regularly.
Because Juan didn't know you have to clean it that often.
It's water, and it stays in my room. I literally just use it as a giant water bottle, so I know that I'm drinking enough water.
Anyways,
I didn't know.
Okay, well, we hope you feel better soon. Before we dive into Hoodwinked, I just want to say special shout out and thank you to Aisa, Natalie, and Lindsay who sent us some holiday cards. So
Thank you, queens.
gracias. And also don't forget that we dropped our This Year in Queer episode of Queer Friends Pod. That's our other podcast, All Your Friends Are Queer, where we reviewed our favorite queer things from 2022 and just take a look back at the hellscape that 2022 was for queer people. Because yes, we had some favorites, but we also had a lot of unfavorites. What do you call those?
Mhm.
Your least favorites. Your most
Some-
hated.
Some letdowns.
Yes. So
Some boo.
go check that out if you were missing our voices last week because we didn't drop an episode of this podcast. We dropped one of the other one. And also this month is ANNEuary, but also on Patreon we will be talking about The Jersey, which is
Ooh.
a 1999 Disney Channel series. And
Confusing as all hell to me. I don't know what's going on. I watched that episode and I said, what the fuck?
yes, so reminder that on Patreon, for $10, you can hear us review the pilot of a Disney Channel show, and then $15, you get that pilot review and another episode of the show that is picked by you, the patrons. If you sign up now, you'll get our back catalog of us talking about So Weird and Flash Forward and Jet Jackson, you know. And then we're coming up on the 2000s. So this year we're going to be talking about Even Stevens, Lizzie McGuire, Kim Possible, That's So Raven, Phil of the Future, Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. Who is she? Dave the Barbarian. Who is he? Himbo
They're
King.
icons.
Yeah. American Dragon Jake Long, which is one of Juan's favorites. And a couple others in there, Lilo and Stitch the series, you know. So it's going to be hip hop happening over on Patreon. So go sign up if you would like to hear us talking about those iconic Disney shows. Link in the description.
It truly is. I mean, Raven Simonier said it the best. This is me not quoting verbatim, I think I was part of the most iconic, show-stopping, beat-bopping era of Disney Channel I have ever been in. And she is right.
Mm-hmm.
Because this lineup is insane.
I think she was mostly talking about Disney Channel theme songs.
No.
But also,
Shows.
but she could have been talking about the shows overall because it was happening.
And she could be tooting her own horn, and I'm over here going with my horns because she's right.
All right, and with that, let's go ahead and kick off ANNEuary with Hoodwinked. Hoodwinked is a 2005 computer-animated musical comedy mystery film. It retells the folktale Little Red Riding Hood as a police procedural using backstories to show multiple characters' points of view. It was produced independently by Blue Yonder Films with Can Bar Entertainment. And that all sounds fancy, but I'll tell you what happened. That was just a couple guys. That was like if we created a company called Planet Weird Films. Like
Planet Weird
Productions. It sounds fancy, but it was just some guys. It was directed
some guys in a basement with a computer and a dream.
Yeah, it was directed by Corey Edwards, who also is the voice of Twitchy, the squirrel in the film.
Correct.
And Ted
Kaczynski.
It was written by Corey Edwards, Todd Edwards, and Tony Leach, produced by a bunch of names, and we'll get into how it was just some people being like, hey, produce this movie. The film features the voices of Anne Hathaway, Glenn Close, Jim Belushi, Patrick Warburton, Anthony Anderson, David Ogden Stiers, Exhibit, Chaz Palminteri, and Andy Dick.
Well, one of those is we can get rid of, and it's not Exhibit.
Exhibit. How's he doing, do you think?
I don't know. I
'Cause
hope
what-
well.
Because what's he doing?
I feel like with a lot of those older rappers, I'm like, I hope you're okay. Like, I hope like you didn't spend all your money.
You know what he's doing? Speaking of money, this says that in late 2010 he owed more than 900,000 in delinquent federal taxes.
Well,
So
there we go.
yeah, but he was big in the
Wait,
2000s. Just
I
pick
was
my
gonna
ride.
say the reason why I think that is because I watch a lot of the Boondocks. If anyone's seen it, it's a terrible show, fucking awful. I probably shouldn't have seen it when I was, a child.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a character there in that show that they make fun of. I think he's supposed to be the exhibit, like
Yeah,
counterpart, and there's a storyline where he goes broke. So
makes sense.
there we go.
Exhibit was big in the 2000s, though. You know,
He was it.
it's your boy X to the Z, and then they would play a little clip of his music, and then he would introduce "Pimp My Ride."
He's literally, his name is Exhibit. Like, come on.
He is it. He's an exhibition,
And let's not say exhibitionist because that's different.
and that's why I didn't say that.
Thank you.
Anyways, so this movie was released. So it was actually released December 16th, 2005, just in LA. Like that had the premiere there, and that's because they wanted it to be eligible for Oscars the next year. So you have to like release it prior to the
They wanted it to be eligible for the Who.
So, but then like the wide release was on January 13th, 2006. The budget, I was looking into, like I said, reading a lot about this movie, and before the director actually made a comment about it, people thought the budget was like, oh, it was probably like 30 million or like 15 million. And then the director in 2009 in an interview said, no, it was under $8 million.
This movie was on a budget.
It was under 8 million.
And again, all that money went to the voice actors. I have to believe, because there's no way in hell this animation saw more than $2 million.
So like to compare, so if you think about like another horrific looking animation film,
Shark Tales.
Ants was the budget for Ants is estimated between 42 to 105 million, but a hell of a lot more than 8 million, right? A lot. 8 million is nothing.
8 million is pocket change.
Mhm.
Can you look up how much the Ant Bully had?
Oh, who could forget the Ant Bully?
Like, I need to know.
The Ant Bully was $50 million.
Mary, Mother, and Christ.
Yeah, well, that movie had a lot of, because I'm reading right here, it says that it was produced by Tom Hanks.
What the fuck?
His company, Playtone. So they had some Tom Hanks money.
Does everybody have a company? Should we start a company? Should we start Planet Weird Productions?
Maybe. Well, I just know Playtone because Tom Hanks, the first Playtone movie was That Thing You Do, which was one of my favorite movies, and he like wrote and directed it, so that's why I know that. But anyways, so yes, Hoodwinked had nothing. Pennies.
Mary,
okay?
dust.
Less than we thought. So knowing that, what do you think the box office was for this movie? It's a lot more than 8 million.
Was it like, I'm gonna go on a limb, 50 million? Did it like rocket?
It was 110 million.
This is probably the okay.
This and Blair Witch are the most successful independent films.
Of all, I was gonna say, like, are these the movies that were like, we made it off of pennies and dreams and it made billions of dollars, like Avatar level millions of dollars?
It was made on pennies and dreams, and I'll tell you why. So this movie was among the earliest computer animated films to be completely independently funded. So, okay, so I read this. I'm going to summarize what I read here with
Okay.
how it came to be. These Oklahoma brothers, Oklahoma, famous for their film industry.
Where the wild things singing on the plane or whatever the fuck.
Corey and Todd Edwards decide to start their own production company, Blue Yonder Films, because they made music videos and commercials. So they're like, let's do this. And then they got a couple friends to join them to do like producing and marketing, right? And they make their first feature film, and it goes to the 99 Sundance Festival. And so they moved to LA because they're like, we went to Sundance and we're gonna make movies and this is great. And then their producers were trying to get them to like tell studios like, hey, you should work with these directors. Like they went to Sundance, right? And the studios said, everyone went to Sundance, no one cares. We don't care.
I was gonna say, that's like being like, oh, I graduated from college. Everyone graduates from college.
So they were like, okay, we're gonna have to like make our own indie film before studios really want to work with us, right? So one of their associate producers got them to meet with this guy, Maurice Canbar, who is an entrepreneur who like invested in their indie Sundance movie. And so like they were getting him to work on this movie, to fund this one. And Maurice Canbar is the creator of Sky Vodka. So Sky Vodka and Hoodwinked are related because this guy funded both.
Sky Vodka has its clutches inside of Hoodwinked.
Yes, and it's like, I think it's like the only movie he produced. Like they just somehow got him to. I mean, he also produced their, like I said, their Sundance movie, but like he doesn't. I don't think he produces like a bunch of movies.
Sky Vodka.
So they got him to do this, and then they were pitching movies to this guy, to the Sky Vodka guy, because they're like, help, like give us money and like here's our ideas. And then they decided eventually like we're gonna do like a classic, we're gonna like reimagine a classic, like should we do Pinocchio or Cinderella? And they said no, Disney is like, everyone knows those as Disney, so we don't want to touch those. So they decided to do Little Red Riding Hood, right? Because then they could like mix it up. They could do a little they stated that like Pulp Fiction, Run Lola Run, Memento, and Rashomon were like inspirations for like the non-linear crime storytelling of it, right?
I was gonna say Memento.
When you think Hoodwinked, you think Memento. Am I right? So, also, and like they decided to do animation because Corey Edwards had done a short film called Wobots, and so they were like, "Oh, what if we do an animated feature?" And Sky Vodka guy was like, "Okay, do it." Right?
Get on it.
He was like, "Let's go." So then they start production in like 2002. It takes a while. So because they have no money, get animators in Manila, Philippines to do this.
The Philippines.
Yes.
The Manila Luzon, Philippines, where Manila Luzon is from.
I don't know who that is, but yes, Manila, Philippines.
She's a drag queen.
And then even the lighting is done by a different company. The lighting, and something else.
Mary.
Yeah, the lighting and compositing were done in Mumbai, India. Again, because their budget was so low. And also with the animation, like usually with animation, it's like, okay, these people are really good at this part of animating, so this group is going to work on this. This group is going to work on this. No. Everyone was doing everything. this at this animation studio.
Everyone did everything all at the same time.
Yes, everyone was just like, we have to have every single skill to do this instead of honing in on one skill, right?
Yeah, you have to be diverse.
Yes, and so Corey and Todd said that the most difficult aspect of producing this independently was their inability to fix all of the mistakes in the film's animation. Because they said, like, I have 10 things that I would like to change in the shot, but I only have the time and the budget to do 3. So, like, they had to kind of, like, pick their battles, you know, like, pick what they thought they needed to fix the most, you know. So they know it's bad.
They said, what will be the ugliest that we can get away with that no one will care?
They know that the animation is bad.
I love that. I love knowing this now because it changes my entire viewpoint of this movie.
Also, I know, like, it really changes it from being like, "Oh, this movie's funny." It's like to being like, "This movie, against all odds, shouldn't have been made, but it powered through, and we should be all like so happy that it exists." Right?
This should be like an inspiration to like aspiring filmmakers and animators to be like, you can do.
And that's what they say at the end of this. They're like, this should be like inspiration for you to be like, if you have nothing and a dream, you can do it. Because we somehow got this Sky Vodka guy, we got this made. I don't know. So
8 million.
Also, because they knew that this wasn't gonna look like a lot of the animated movies at the time.
And I have examples of the animated movies at the time.
They knew that they couldn't go for that because, you know, we have no budget and we're in the Philippines. So they tried to imitate it to look more like stop motion, like Rankin Bass movies. You know, like your Rudolph, The Year Without Santa Claus, all of those. They tried to make it more that style because they knew they couldn't like make it smooth, realistic CGI like most movies were doing.
I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow. Oh my God.
Well, and because then they were like, it's what's gonna matter is like the script and the story. Like that's what's really gonna shine through. If the animation is bad, like, but the story is good, it should be fine. Because they were talking about like Kermit the Frog is just like, if you look at early Kermit the Frog, like on Sam and Friends,
hideous.
Doesn't look great, but like it's because of the character that like we love him, right? So they were kind of going off of that, of like, if we can create characters that like everyone's gonna like, it's not gonna matter that they're hideous to look at. So, and they also wanted the look to be kind of like organic instead of, like I said, like the super realistic and smooth CGI. So they were going off of like Nightmare Before Christmas, where a lot of things were like had like dirt rubbed into the colors and it looked like more organic instead of trying to be like shiny, happy, you know. Anyways, and then they said we gotta get some fucking music for this movie. So they got John Mark Painter to compose the score, and he was in a band like in the I think the 70s or 60s or something called Fleming and John.
Love.
I don't know. So they got this guy to do the score, right? And then, sorry, I lost my place because I had to click on my guy's name.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Is Ben Folds in this soundtrack, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes!
Yes, because you hear that voice and you go, I know that bitch. That's Ben Folds. And I'll get to how they got him. So they got this guy to do the composing for the movie because they met him while Corey, the director, was performing in an animated film that the painter had done, right? So then they make the score. It was recorded in Nashville. Yeehaw. And then also they wanted to include the Foo Fighters song All My Life in the movie because they have a bunch of like rock songs in there. And a lot of them are just sung by like friends of like or there's a song like by Corey Edwards in there. Yeah, just like not like people you would know. But they wanted Foo Fighters to do the song, but at the time they wanted Foo Fighters to do All My Life I've Been So Rich or something, something never comes to really nothing.
Yeah.
But they just had a new album coming out, so they didn't want like everyone to focus on their old song, which is a shame. So they didn't get Foo Fighters for the soundtrack. I bet Dave Grohl is beating
Pissed.
himself up over this decision.
I was gonna say I don't understand. Well, I kind of do to an extent, but like when artists are like, I don't want to focus on my old stuff. Like this is all my new stuff, and like people love the old stuff. It's like, Mary, you're losing your target audience right now. Like, don't do that. Like, I mean, don't pander to your audience.
I get it if it's like you're tired of playing an old song on tour, fine. But like this is Hoodwinked. Let
It's a
grannies.
movie.
It was probably going to be like while granny's like snowboarding or something.
Oh yeah.
And you should want that. As I'm talking, I realize that I don't have any water, so that's fun. My water glass is empty.
You see that back there? You see that? That's
So
the
wait,
culprit.
I had a little drop. I might have to text my assistant to bring me some water, and by my assistant, I mean my mommy.
The
So
devil.
anyways, so then also, so there was the composing, you know, the score, then those songs that are in the movie. Originally there were other songs and they kind of like rewrote and re-recorded them.
Mhm.
Like originally Anne Hathaway did a song called Great Big World and then they replaced it with a different song. Anyways, Ben Folds, right? So
Slipping in.
yes, so the composer asked his longtime friend Ben Folds to sing Red is Blue for the movie.
Shut up. Not longtime friend.
Ben Folds was working on an album at the time, and a new album, but a year after the proposal, he found the opportunity to record the song and compose a piano arrangement for it as well. He said, you know what? I found the time and I'm going to do this, and we love that. That's why we have to love Ben Folds.
Amazing.
Okay, so then like originally they had like a different voice cast as well with, you know, some nobodies, except for Sally Struthers, who like she was on what's it called? All in the Family back in the day.
Mhm.
She was Granny, but like everyone else was like nobodies. So this is where I hate that we have to mention them. But the Weinsteins come in because they see this movie when it's like almost at the end of production. They do a screening at the Cannes Film Festival. Yes, that Cannes Film Festival.
The one where they con people.
The famous French film festival. So because they were trying to get DreamWorks to release Hoodwinked, but DreamWorks said no.
It's hideous.
They said never in our lives would we do this. So this is where the Weinsteins and Robert Rodriguez, actually, Spy Kids director,
Rodriguez?
comes in. The tale of this film is wild. So at Cannes Film Festival, the Weinsteins had just started, because they had Miramax, but then they just started the Weinstein Company and only had like a couple movies released through that at the time.
Okay.
And Robert Rodriguez was there screening Sin City, a famous 2000s movie, which was a Weinstein movie. And so they were all there, and then the Weinsteins saw Hoodwinked and they were like, we should do a family animated film for the Weinstein Company. So they brought that on. And it's because they decided to pick Hoodwinked up for distribution after it was brought to their attention by Robert Rodriguez's wife, whose attorney also happened to work for Blue Yonder Films. So for these Oklahoma brothers. So this says, although Corey Edwards did not meet Rodriguez, he acknowledged him as an instrumental part to get the film made. And so all these pieces had to come together.
So literally these brothers had pennies in a dream and just so happened to have the right connective tissue to get all of these random people random massive people to do shit for this movie. Like that is insane. The fact that they were like, yeah, we have nothing. And this guy is like, yo, this guy said yes. And these guys knew Ben Folds. And then we ended up showing up this weird thing. And then the Weinsteins were just in this wacky ass fucking
And Robert
place.
Rodriguez's wife was like, you guys should make that. You guys should release that.
Because she works for them.
Because she has the same lawyer as their lawyer or something. Because they share a lawyer.
Like, the insanity of this. If we were to draw a web.
I know. It is a web.
This is crazy red thread area.
It is a web and it's spinning. So the Weinsteins are like, okay, animation. This was their first animated movie for the Weinstein Company that they released. Also because they had just left Disney, they were like, ooh, animation. We could like go up against Disney. That would be kind of fun. So because we have the Weinsteins involved, they made a few suggestions to edit the film's pace. They said the first 20 minutes were dragging. But the biggest thing they did was they recast the film with bigger names because they wanted to get a larger audience, you know. So Anne Hathaway replaces Tara Strong as Red Riding Hood.
Well,
Tara Strong stays in the movie as like a smaller character, right? Jim Belushi replaces David Ogden Stiers in the role of Kirk. David Ogden Stiers switches to the role of Flippers, right?
Okay, I love Flippers.
They get Anthony Anderson. They get Glenn Close. They get Exhibit. They get
insane
Chaz Palminteri, who he worked in like A Bronx Tale, and that's what he's the sheep. So with a little cameo of him being like, yeah, I might know what you're talking about. So they also tried to sorry, I'm reading a lot of this. Sure. They tried to get Albert Brooks to be Jimmy Lizard. Okay. But they couldn't get him. So Jimmy Lizard is still played by like no one special.
Well, don't say that.
Well, he is special because he's Jimmy Lizard, and that should be on his gravestone. But the filmmakers did say like they felt like the Weinsteins added too many big names because they were like at a certain point it became recast-orama. Everyone got recast happy. My feeling is you get 2 or 3 names on that poster, you're fine. Our Hoodwinked poster has like a paragraph of names on it. At a certain point, I don't think you need more than 2-3 celebrities. Give it to the voice actors. It sweetens the pot. Very true.
Oh my god, these men.
True. Mario, you should have listened to this. The Mario people.
The Mario people could have learned from these 2 Oklahoma boys. I bet you they're beautiful. I'm gonna look them up actually.
Also, because the original cast had already recorded all their dialogue for this movie, and the animation was done for it. The new actors, the famous ones, couldn't improvise. They had to do exactly what the original actors had done. They had to read just as they had done. So any line you hear of like anyone doing it sounding like, oh, that was probably an improv. It was the original actor and not Exhibit or not Andy Dick. So like they also said like it's a bummer that they're not going to get the credit for like their witty lines that they came up with or the way they decided to deliver a line because now these new actors are just like copy pasting what they said.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer.
Wait, who made this, guys?
Corey and Todd Edwards.
Okay.
Why?
I'm looking them up. I want to see if they're beautiful.
Oh, okay. I didn't look up what they look like.
No, but this is just the monster I am. Keep going.
Okay. So then the movie, like I said, they put it out to try to get it in the running for the Oscars so it could be considered. Obviously that went nowhere, but the movie gets released widely. It was number 2 at the box office.
Okay.
Glory Road was number 1, which is a Disney sports movie.
Sure.
It got mixed reviews from critics. A lot of people just said it's hideous. Some people said like it doesn't bring enough to like the classic tale of Red Riding Hood. Like it doesn't bring enough twist to it.
What did they want?
I don't know, but the main complaint was the animation. Also, it got a lot of comparisons to Shrek because this is 2005, so the first two Shrek movies had already come out. So people thought like we've had enough of the fairy tale twisting, like Shrek did it better, blah blah blah, right? And then also a couple years after that movie Happily Never After came out.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was doing those little twists. But people did say that most people did say that Hoodwinked was better than Happily Never After.
I mean, I don't remember Happily Never After ever.
I never saw it, but apparently it's Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Well,
maybe I should watch. Anyways, but in 2018, this was the resurgence of Hoodwinked and people realizing that it is a culturally significant film. This needs to be the National Film Registry, in my opinion. Because in 2018, Richard Brody of The New Yorker called Hoodwinked one of the top independent films for families. Says it displays admirable comic timing. It received a Saturn Award nomination, blah, blah, blah. Entertainment Weekly ranked it on their must list for when the movie came out.
Shit.
In February 2006, an author named Timothy Sexton wrote an article called Hoodwinked, a postmodern examination of the dangers of runaway capitalism. And so he said it was that Hoodwinked was one of the first postmodern animated films and that the film also carried political undertones. He argued that the relative nature of truth was shown by revealing deviations from the original fairy tale as the film explored the story from each of the central characters' points of view, calling Hoodwinked the most subversive movie released nationwide since Fahrenheit 9/11. He said the film was a critique on the free enterprise system. He drew comparisons between the film's villain and the typical American business owner, going so far as to say that the character was clearly based on people like Bill Gates and Sam Walton. Sam Walton, who created Walmart and Sam's Club. He said the film exposed the flaws of capitalism, showing that it left unregulated business owners that if left unregulated, business owners will establish monopolies and eliminate competition.
Well, this man took this little story and said, let me just pull as much of it out as I can, because insanity, but also truth.
And so the director and writer Corey Edwards said, I don't really see it, but but okay.
They said, sure, man, sure.
It was like, it was really just supposed to be more of like pulling from like James Bond movies or Bugs Bunny cartoons in the A-Team. He's like, if you saw that, okay. But
I love that shit. When someone goes, I mean, that wasn't my end goal, but I'd run with it, I guess.
So yeah. Anyways, and then obviously, as we all know, in 2011 there was a sequel called Hoodwinked 2, TOO, Hood versus Evil, which had none of the original voice people except I believe Glenn Close.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and so the original Corey and Todd, they worked on the script, but they didn't direct it. So he said, Corey Edwards said that he had a negative experience working with some of the first film's key players and felt that he had been poorly treated by them. Honey, just say the Weinsteins. We know what you're talking about.
Let's say it.
Just say the Weinsteins. But so that movie, Hayden Panettiere is Red Riding Hood.
Save the cheerleader.
And Martin Short is the woodsman, Kirk.
Okay.
Like, it still has names, but it's just very random. And it was, direct to DVD
VHS.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whenever it was. And that movie bombed financially and critically.
I mean, I could have told you that.
So from everything I've told you about Hoodwinked so far, what do you have to say?
what do I have to say? I have so much aspiration for. I have so much love for this movie now because I was about to dog on it. I was about to dunk the fuck on this movie. But knowing the backstory now, insanity. Like I just have to, just
He's
a little
clapping.
bit, a little bit for this movie because insane that two random white men from Oklahoma can be like, here it is, and 8 times its movie production value, like almost like 10 times what it cost to make, they made back. Insane.
Now, what if I told you that the film's most iconic character, Japheth the goat, was almost not in the movie?
I would kill. Jacob the goat makes it.
They almost deleted him, but they were doing screenings to like for test audiences, and people loved him. People loved Japheth the goat. They were like, I can't get enough of that guy. So
You can tell that they were trying to make the squirrel like the iconic character. You know, like the who was barking?
Marty. Who do you think's barking?
Who's barking? Who are you barking at? You can tell that they wanted to make the squirrel like their like mascot character, like the one that people would be like, I want a plushie of him, but I want a plushie of the fucking goat with interchangeable horns.
Yes. And speaking of the interchangeable horns, so the whole thing with Japheth, they never replaced his voice actor.
Good.
They kept him, and he's like the son of like 2 country singers. And so he sings the song, like it's that voice actor. And the whole story with him and why they did that song and his storyline is that he has a bunch of interchangeable horns is because they wanted his introduction to be him rocking like a rocking chair, but on his horns.
Yeah.
And then they were like, that's not really going to work. Like, how is he going to sit in like the mine cart? Like, it's not really going to work. So they were like, what if he had interchangeable horns and he has them all for different reasons? And that's how that came to be.
I love that.
Yes. So, and then just some other trivia for you. The Jimmy, what was his name? Jimmy Lizard. He's supposed to be a satire of the Geico Gecko.
Okay.
Who was popping off at the time, as we all remember.
He was the one.
Yes. Also, they based the wolves. Well, like they had a different vision for like, and like the original voice actor for Wolf kind of did it differently, like tonally. But Patrick Warburton wanted to do like a Fletch kind of style. If anyone knows the movie Fletch, Chevy Chase is a reporter, and he's very much like this wolf in the movie. And there's like references, like when Wolf says like I'm a shepherd, that's like from Fletch.
Okay.
So just a little thing. And then also, oh yeah, Tom Kenny also voices in this movie.
Work, I guess. Work for him.
He's one of the pigs. Anyways,
do we have any information on who that fucking weird guy in the fursuit is?
In the fursuit?
I think his name is Kenny.
In the fursuit?
Kenny? Yeah. There's that random guy who's like in a fursuit.
Like a human?
It's like a human in a fursuit.
When and where?
And like twice in the movie you see him.
Like in the background or what?
Like he gets a speaking role.
I don't remember.
It's insane. We'll get to it.
I remember are they animals? Also, a little spoiler. I didn't notice this, so I'll have to go back. But there's like if you pay attention, you can see that Boingo is the bandit, because when he's getting his like clipboard autographed by Granny, I guess on the back it's like a to-do list. And it says like, take down Muffin Man, ruin Red, act cute and fuzzy, steal recipe book, send Wolf on goose chase, pick up dry cleaning, pay evil ski team, pay gas bill, call mom, and finish layer.
No, that's afterwards. That's
You
after
don't-
he gets revealed.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
that's just a little tidbit. Um, let's see. Yeah, I don't care about that. Yeah, I don't care about that. Anyways, all of this is to say, Hoodwinked, what a film. What's your history with Hoodwinked?
I think I saw it. I think it might have aired on Cartoon Network once,
Oh, it did. I
a
remember
couple
that.
times maybe, and I think that's where I saw it because I never saw it in theaters. Hell no. And I never rented it because I was like, that looks weird. But then I saw it on Cartoon Network, which would definitely air this. Like Cartoon Network are the people that air. I mean, crunchy shit. Let's talk about
Yeah.
Scary Godmother. Like this is Scary Godmother level
It was
animation.
giving Scary Godmother for sure.
So like I watched it on there and I just remember the fucking goat. I remember be prepared. And like I think I remembered the twist, but I was like, I'm not sure if I'm telling myself a lie.
I didn't remember who it was until that fucking bunny showed up.
And no, and that was me. I'm like, one of
And
these
it came
fuckers
back
is
to
the
me.
twist, and then the bunny showed up. I'm like, oh, it's him.
Yeah. I rented this movie. My brother and I rented it. I don't know if it would have been VHS or I'm assuming DVD by this time. It's 2006.
Mhm.
I don't know why we rented it. We were just like, I guess we were big Anne Hathaway fans. We saw that she was in this.
You're just being funny, cute, different.
And then I remember us loving Be Prepared, rewinding because
Because why
we
not?
hadn't discovered YouTube yet, so we were just rewinding Be Prepared over and over. I remember also really loving, and like I've thought about this for years. The part when like Granny she's with her like snow crew, and there's like that bear because
Mhm.
she like gives them snickerdoodles, and that bear goes tight, and then that one goes snickety doo, and then no one says anything. I don't know why, but that always stuck with me. That guy
That's
going snickety doo.
silence.
Silence.
That is a good scene. That is a good like part of the movie.
Moment. Yeah, but I haven't seen it since then. I remember it airing like on Cartoon Network, and then I remember hearing or maybe seeing a commercial for the fact that they did a second, and I said no. I said no because I saw that it was not the original cast. It was not. No. So I said no.
Every time the cast change, it's never for the best.
Except for, you know what? I would say Addams Family Values when they got Carol Kane.
That's because the other one died.
But they changed it, so it is a cast change. It is a cast change. Yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive into this horrific CGI that opens the film because we get Red. I think it's I was gonna say like, oh, it's just the humans that look bad, but Granny looks fine. No. I think everyone looks fine except for Red, and then maybe like those yodeling people.
No, okay, you're gonna tell me that the children from the what's that from the Strudel song?
I'm saying all the humans look bad except for Granny. That's what I'll say.
Okay, good way to rephrase it because I was like, are you saying that everyone looks good except for Red? Because you're a liar.
No, that is
no. Granny looks great. Everyone else kind of looks a little suspicious.
Red is just so. It's the eyes, it's the hair. When she takes off the hood, I'm like, put that hood back on. Put that back on. I don't want to see your weird hair. Anyway,
when she completely takes off the hood, and you're like, well, there's no saving you now.
I guess I'll have to close my eyes for the next 20 minutes. So the story starts out, as you know, the Red Riding Hood story does. Red is off to see her grandma. She's delivering some goodies from Grandma's goodie shop. But she knows something is off when she goes to see her grandma because it is clearly not grandma. It is.
I love the fucking plastic mask.
Yes, it is the wolf wearing a plastic mask of Granny. And so when she's like, what does he say? He was like, what's with all the questions?
Yeah, and then at the end when she goes, Granny, what big eyes you have. And I think he goes, are we just gonna sit around here and talk about how big I'm getting?
Yeah. And then as like he's walking towards her, we see that Granny is locked in the closet, tied up. She falls out of there. A lumberjack flies through the window with an axe.
Everyone's screaming
we're
and
like,
yelling.
what is going on?
What in the hell? And it looks like it's supposed to, and it looks like it's gonna play out just like the original story, right?
Mhm.
Like it's like he's trying to eat her. Grandma's tied up. The guy comes in and chops him up, but then twist.
Is the axe guy in the original story?
Yeah, in the original story, a huntsman or a guy, right, comes in and he opens up the wolf and then he pulls out Grandma and Red Riding Hood from the wolf.
I mean, I guess I know Into the Woods where they went inside the wolf.
Yeah, and then she gets saved.
But I don't remember any other iteration. I don't know, I guess I just never heard that. And then the police arrive and immediately the chief wants to book them. He's like, arrest everyone, arrest them all. But who arrives? It's Nikki Flippers.
Can I tell you, every frog is iconic. Why are frogs so iconic?
Frogs are just cool animals as well.
Kermit.
Yeah.
A frog. Nikki Flippers. A frog.
Frog and Toad.
Frog and Toad gay. Those frogs from Meet the Robinsons.
Oh,
iconic. Yeah. Who else?
Michigan J Frog.
Michigan J Frog. Rocky, what's wrong? I'm a frog. Oh, Adam. Adam was wrong.
I'm a frog.
Iconic.
Sure. Frogs are just cool animals as well. Who doesn't love a frog? You know? Also, so like some of the cops are pigs in this movie.
It's so funny. I was gonna say it.
According to Corey Edwards, that wasn't intentionally. It wasn't supposed to be like a political comment. But I'm gonna just disregard what he's saying and say that it is intentional because it makes it funnier.
So, and then the fact that they get at the end, they're like, I have a scoop that the three little pigs were running a fraudulent business. I was like, got him.
But so Nikki Flippers, he arrives and he really is, for all the Knives Out fans, he was the Benoit Blanc for Zillennials, for like our generation. He was it.
I love the tweet that was like, this is the original Knives Out.
Yeah, because in a way it was, because he comes in and says there's 4 suspects here and there's 4 stories, so let's get into it.
I love it.
First we have Little Red Riding Hood, Red Puckett. Her story is that, she was making deliveries for Granny.
Because I guess everyone in this world owns like a goods, like a baked goods thing.
Yes. Goody Proctor. Wait, did you remember any other song from this movie besides Be Prepared?
Fuck no.
I didn't. I was like, is this a musical? Because like obviously we all know Be Prepared. But when she started singing, I said, what the fuck? What is this?
Okay, I have this. I started watching this like at 11:30.
Let's also say, first of all, this movie is not available for streaming anywhere.
The way you found it insane.
We watched it on YouTube. Well, like I checked like a month ago or like a couple weeks ago when I thought about doing ANNEuary, when I thought of the pun. And there was like a full version on YouTube. And then when I checked like over the weekend to tweet out the link so people could watch it and to send it to you, that one was gone. But luckily this one was on here, which has English and Korean subtitles.
Amazing.
But the audio is in English. It's the only way to watch. I mean, I'm sure it's on like some pirate websites or whatever, but like on YouTube, it's the only way to watch the full movie.
And it's not clipped weird. It's not
pitched.
It's not pitched. It's not reversed. Yeah. It's not in the weird little corner.
The subtitles are a bit distracting because it's 2 sets of subtitles and it takes up a lot of the screen. But I'll take it because it's the only way. And why isn't this streaming anywhere?
Hulu, pick it up.
Like, I don't understand. I know the Weinstein Company is like owned by a different, like, obviously she gone, but like, come on, someone needs to be streaming this. Anne Hathaway, call your people.
For the youth.
But as soon as Boingo the rabbit showed up, I said, I do remember this son of a bitch. Immediately,
Clocked.
I said, it's him. I said, I haven't seen this movie in 20 years, but
It's
I
him.
can tell that it is him. Because I knew when she's on the cable car, because he runs the cable car for whatever reason.
He runs like everything.
When she falls out of there, I said, it's him. He pushed her. He did this.
Well, because you can see, okay, this is the thing. This is what unlocked the memory for me. Because he like the squirrel. I don't know if the squirrel is also like funny because like you can see him in like along the story of Red Riding Hood because hers and the wolves intertwine so much. But the rabbit, when she falls out of that fucking like, what are they called? Gazambas? What are they called?
A cable car.
Cable car. When he falls out of there, she falls into the cable car. He like reaches for the basket.
Oh.
And not for like you can see it in the animation. He like reaches for the basket, but it falls before he can grab it. So I'm like, I got you, clocked, bitch.
Those Filipino animators really did something there.
They smart. They're smart.
Wow. Yeah, so immediately I was like, fuck this bitch. And the fact that he's voiced by Andy Dick, just another reason to hate him.
Worse.
This is another reason to hate this fucking rabbit. So yeah, we hear that recipes have been stolen by like everyone, or by the Goody Bandit, and everyone's getting put out of business.
Yeah,
These
the beavers are leaving.
The poor beavers. And then so Red is like, I want to bring the recipe book to Granny because someone might steal it from her shop. And then because on the phone, she's like, no, just keep them there.
But then later on, we see that someone threw a rock in the shop window and says, "You're next." And I said, "The horror movie?
Mm-hmm.
That scary ass movie, You're Next?"
Yes. I wrote "You're Next" rock at Granny's shop. It was just someone who loves the movie You're Next.
Yeah, they were like, it was free promo for the movie.
Yeah. And so, yeah, like we said, she falls from the cable car while she's talking to Boingo, and that's where she meets Wolf in the woods, where, from her point of view, it looks like he's roaring at her and chasing her because he wants to eat her, right?
Yeah.
I love the bit of the wolf away spray.
Yeah.
Because, like, at first I was like, did she just mace him? But I went back and paused it, and it says wolf away. Good bit.
It's so good. There's a moment where the wolf describes an Oreo.
Okay.
Because he's like, I love those goodies, the cookies that have like that like frosting in the middle. And I'm like, are you describing an Oreo right now?
Not legally, but yeah.
Not legally.
Nabisco would never allow it. So then she tricks the wolf into falling into the river.
Because she has those hummingbird friends. She's
I love at the end of the movie they say that the only crime she's
committed.
She's committed is like flying hummingbirds or like songbirds without a license.
Yeah.
That's funny. Anyway, so like she tells her story and Nikki Flippers is like, okay. And then they bring the wolf in.
Well, then we also get the iconic be prepared, yeah, and that's how her part ends.
Well, and it's a bummer that they kind of peak at the beginning so there. I didn't know Be Prepared came in so early, but it did come in so early.
Well, and then okay, so I felt okay. Like I said, I watched this last night, the night before recording at like 11:30 at night. I was like, I'm gonna power through this. I can do this.
Mm-hmm. It's only an hour and 20. Short.
It's only an hour and 20. I could do it, right? The way I looked at the clock and I was like, I'm only 16 minutes in. This is 16 to 20 minutes into the movie that we get Be Prepared.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
They peaked kind of early.
The way that I fell asleep, and I was like, I almost said to him, like, we have to record on Friday. I'm so sorry. Or like Thursday afternoon, I'm so sleepy. And then I was like, no, I'll just wake up early and finish it, which I did. But I forget that when I work a double at work, I'm so sleepy. I'm like, I'm gonna just.
Mm-hmm. Well, right before we get to Japheth the goat.
The wackiest name.
I love that. So like the cops to Nikki Flippers are like, okay, well clearly it's the wolf, like he's a creep, right? And then Nikki Flipper says, we don't arrest people for being creepy. And then when the pigs
Hey, release that guy.
when they call dispatch and they're like, hey, you know that guy we have sitting in the cell? And the guy's like, oh, the one that's creepy, the creepy one? And they're like, yeah, let him go. Great bit. And then
those pigs have really good bits in the background. Like, I also love the bit when they're like, get the cage! And then they're like, no, don't get the cage. And they're like, okay, never mind. Don't get the cage.
Yeah. They say it's not politically motivated, but all these cops are like just jumping at any chance to arrest anyone.
It's so fucking funny.
But then they jump back into Red's story. So yes, Japeth the goat he's the best character with the best song. Be prepared. I've got horns that'll hold
Japeth is
open bottles, and I've got horns that'll hold my keys.
You know the whole song?
No, I think I used to. I remember this one girl at my school, like, her name was Kaylee. She knew, like, every word.
Oh, what a fucking legend.
I feel like, when was she singing it? It was probably, like, in junior high, because I remember I had her in, like, one of my PE classes. And I feel like she was just in the locker room singing the song. And I'm like, iconic, yes. I was prepared. Yes, I'm like, sing it
louder.
Is that song on TikTok? Because
it fucking
it would blow up on TikTok.
No, don't say that. TikTok doesn't need any more ideas. It needs to shut down. Shut it down.
So yeah, and as they're up in the, as they're plummeting to their doom, where she sees Granny in the clouds and she says, use the hood. Yes, which will come back and pay off later. So yes, she uses her hood, and Japeth had some propeller horns.
He was prepared.
He's saved. I was prepared.
Jacob is on prep. He's on prep.
His name is Japeth.
I can't say that word. Japeth is on prep.
I don't know why. Is that even a name? Japeth? Jackie Jump?
That literally is what it is.
And then she gets to Granny's house, and we know how that ended. And then we go to the wolf story, and we find out that he is a reporter. An investigative journalist who has been undercover for the past 6 months investigating the Goody Bandit. Mm-hmm. And he's with his sidekick Twitchy the squirrel, voiced by the director, Cody Edwards, which they just ended up like. They sped his voice up in Pro Tools is what they did. He doesn't actually talk that fast, guys.
I love the bit way later in the movie at the end where they do the
slow it down.
Rewind, yeah. And it's just like it's that Siri voice of
Boingo the bunny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good bit. So he talks to Woolworth the sheep. Because he's paying him. I love his costume. The wolf's costume of the sheep that he puts on to go talk to Woolworth. And I love Woolworth being like, Red, I don't know who you're talking about. And he gets paid like a 20 and he's like, all right, it's coming back to me. I know who Red is.
He says, this is all the information I got. And then he's like, I love, because it happens twice. And then at the end, he's like, you look awfully delicious. And he just keeps talking.
Mm-hmm. So he gives her some information. He says Granny lives up the hill and that Red takes the cable car to see her. And so then we have the part where Red and Wolf
meet,
cross over their stories, and that taxi bit is so funny because from Red's point of view, she sprays him, runs away, and then somehow he gets in front of her, gets in front of her again. And from his point of view, we see that he took a taxi, drove up past her, said, hey, stop, she's right there.
We went too far. Gets in front of her. Like, that bit's so funny. One of the best bits in the movie. I love how, like, because in Red Story we see that the squirrel falls and then like that flash happens and we're like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. But then it's because
Twitchy ate the camera. But then as he's trying to fix the camera, Wolf
roars, but only because his tail gets caught in the camera.
Yeah, and it's really him saying, ah.
Not rah.
Yeah, so she thought he was attacking her, but he was just screaming in pain.
It's so good. I love this.
Yes. And so, and then they end up in the river, and then he has the line where he says to Twitchy, he says, "You hungry?" Or because like Twitchy's saying he's hungry or something, right?
Mhm.
And he said, "You hungry for failure? Maybe a side of unemployment?"
I am.
And I said, "Wow, okay, me." And
Also,
then
tell me why I have so much in common with Twitchy, because he's like, Twitchy, you've been drinking coffee, and he goes, I don't drink coffee. I love a chai tea latte though, and I'm like, damn, that's me. And then he also wants to have like photographs in a gallery, and I'm like, is he me?
that is
I'm
you.
Twitchy.
I said, "Shut the fuck up, Boingo," because he gives Wolf and Twitchy directions, which leads to like, is this like a sewer?
Yes,
It's like
a sewer that leads to
underneath,
like the coal mines.
yeah, underneath like the railroad cart, which is where another crossover. So we see the Dinamite scene.
Yeah, dinamite must be Italian.
Yeah, so Twitchy has dynamite and it blows up. That's why the railroad runs out and why Japheth and Red fly into the
Fly.
sky. And they're like, "You hear something?" And then obviously they get to Granny's house and they put on a disguise. So Granny just sells merchandise of herself, and that's why she had that mask in her house. So
I fucking guess.
that's what he puts on. And then we know we're right back up at the beginning of the story. And then we get Kirk's story, the
The
lumberjack,
huntsman. Yeah, the lumberjack.
whatever you want to call him. Jim Belushi. He's an actor. He was auditioning for a commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And his day job was driving a schnitzel truck.
Because he's also a goodies provider. Now, what you're asking yourself is, what the fuck is schnitzel? Because I've always heard it and never knew what it was. Do you know
True.
what it is?
No, I've never looked it up.
I just looked it up. Schnitzel is a thin slice of meat that is usually pounded and tenderized. Most meat is breaded before frying, and then that's it. It's just breaded meat.
Okay. Not as exciting as one would think.
No, when I googled it, I was like ready for something cool. It's just fucking tenderized.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a chicken fried steak.
So his truck is robbed. And who happens to be there when his truck was robbed? It was Boingo.
Not Boingo the bunny, who just happens to be everywhere.
In all of these stories. So Kirk ends up getting a call back. He has to find his inner woodsman. I love that bit. So when Jimmy the gecko, so when he says, "I gotta be in a circle wipe across town, gotta go," and the bit is that that's the transition of him popping up on the phone. It was a circle wipe, so they're saying he has to do another circle wipe
Somewhere
across
else.
town. So that's another one of my favorite jokes in the movie. So then he is chopping trees, trying to channel his inner woodsman. And then he starts running away from the falling logs.
Well, because he's so stupid. He has like a woodsman for actors book or something where he's like trying to learn how to do it. He just doesn't know how to use an axe.
Yeah. He's using the other side. So yeah, and then that's why he ended up flying through the window at Granny's, is because he was running away from the logs and just flew through.
And these nightmarish children. These nightmare-looking children.
So then we get to Granny's story. And we know Granny, she's just a sweet old lady. She's so boring, just knitting and stuff. Wrong.
She's a bad bitch.
Bad bitch. Triple G. She's a snowboarder, a rock climber, a skateboarder, a skier, a thrill seeker.
She's a BMXer, baby. A BMXer. Granny thinks she's hot shit with those 3 Gs. Well, baby, I got 5G thanks to that. Nice. I'm not going to spread misinformation. I don't want to continue with the joke.
Well, like the vaccine.
Yeah, with the vaccine.
So she is in a extreme sports competition. This is where we see her little buds, where she gives them snickerdoodles and he goes, "Snickety doo."
I kind of hate this scene too, because it's very much like her being like
Yes, it's her doing like blackface speaking.
Yeah.
It's her doing
What is it
like
called?
AAVE.
Yeah, there.
And then that bear doesn't call it out. He's encouraging it.
Here's what I gotta say. If your African American friends are cool with you doing this, fine. I won't be.
Yeah, she's doing like a homies type of stuff.
Hey, yo, home skilletless. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's giving Fred and the Scooby Doo movie.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, what's the his when he's possessed?
And then Boingo asks Granny for an autograph, and so we're like, he's in all of these stories. Interesting.
Interesting how he's everywhere.
There is like a German ski team that she's going up against, or that everyone's going up against in this competition, but she is sabotaged immediately by that German dude.
How is this allowed?
And then when she's like dangling from a cliff and he's holding on to her, she's like, "Who do you work for?" And he's like, "The bandit." And then she falls and hears that they are going after Red next. And then we see that she caused the avalanche.
She threw bombs. She's
the one that caused this. She's the one that caused the avalanche that we saw when Red and Japheth were in the car. An avalanche is coming down. I do not feel prepared.
You know every lyric.
I just remember that part especially because it's got some silence, and then all of a sudden the song kicks back in. Amazing.
True.
And then all of a sudden she's parasailing, and that's the joke that comes back from earlier where she was saying use the hood to Red. So that wasn't just an apparition, that was genuinely her
fucking flying through the sky,
parasailing in the cloud.
What is it? What's that thing from Reading Rainbow?
What?
High
Butterfly in the sky.
Yeah.
I can go twice as high.
Thank you.
And then she flies into the chimney of her house. The strings of her like parasail get caught in the fan, and then it throws her into the closet.
I was gagged because I was like, how did she get tied up in there? I forget. Babbage.
That's why. And then Twitchy is in there, and that's why she eventually falls out of the closet. It's because she was banging this poor squirrel up against the fucking closet door trying to get out.
She wants out.
So we know everyone's stories now, right? And it gets dramatic because Red is all of a sudden mad at Granny for keeping secrets. That she was this extreme.
Well, Granny was like, I don't want anyone to worry about me because they see me as this fucking old delicate lady, but I'm stunted. I go hard, bitch.
And then we have Red takes off her hood. It's like an identity crisis for Red Riding Hood. Then we have the Ben Folds song. Red is blue. And immediately I was like, I know that voice anywhere. That's fucking Ben Folds, bitch.
I literally put, is this Ben fucking Folds?
That is Star of the Wild season 2, Ben Folds. And we see like a flashback of her and Granny. It's a whole thing. And
then Granny kind of, and it sounds, this is like where it deviates a little. It makes it sound like Granny's gonna be the thief, because she's like, our family line goes thousands of years, like searching the world for recipes and making them better, blah blah blah. And you're like, so she is the thief? Like, at least that's what I got. It was like, so Granny is the thief, right?
No, I knew it was Boingo, that bitch.
Oh well, then there we go.
Okay, so then someone steals the picnic basket from the cop who was sleeping on the job.
I mean, you could have left it at Pig.
Sleeping. Someone in Red's hood.
And we're like, what?
It, and we go, what? Who could it be?
And who was that?
And Flippers says the bandit is still at large. And then he's kind of like going back. This is for like in case you fell asleep and you need to be reminded that it could be anyone.
Me.
He's like, well, Granny might have robbed Kirk. And then she's like, I may lead a life full of secrets and deception, but that doesn't mean you need to be suspicious. Which is a good line. And then he's like, well, maybe the wolf did it. And then the wolf says, talk about profiling. And And then they find out that the basket is gone, and so is Red.
And so we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
And I immediately said, Boingo, you son of a bitch!
You're yelling at the TV. You're throwing shit.
I hate him. I don't know if I've ever hated a character more than Boingo. Who did you get mad at recently? You hated a character in a movie we did.
Oh.
It was like a boy. I don't remember who it was. It was recently, but that's how I feel right now about Boingo.
Who was I? What did we cover recently?
I don't know.
Was it the kid from Turbo Man?
No, maybe it was Jake Lloyd. It was Anakin. Maybe, I don't know. Or no. It was Marshall from Under Wraps 2. Yes.
It's just me frothing at the mouth, mad at Marshall.
Okay. So Flipper is like, oh my god, wait, who's in everyone's story? It's that bunny, Boingo. And then we see the schnitzel car going up, and they're like, we're gonna go follow it. Because something's up here. And then we have Boingo at his lair with the Germans, because he was working with them the whole time. Red confronts him, and then he has this shitty song. Once he sang this song at the end, I kind of remembered it. I just remembered the I'm gonna be top of the woods. That came back to me, but not in a pleasant way because I hate him.
It's something that fueled my rage.
So Twitchy is trying to tell the cops that it's Boingo, but they can't.
Oh yeah, because
Wolf
was like, we can't catch up to them, so we can send Twitchy. Here's some coffee.
Yeah,
go crazy.
Because Wolf is pretending to be the building inspector.
Yeah.
To stall with Boingo, and so Twitchy's trying to tell the cops, and then we have that great moment, like you said, where Nikki Flippers is like, wait, I have an idea, and they record him and then slow it down so they can understand him.
Beautiful.
Also, Boingo has this line where he says, I was asked to join Mensa. And that's how you know he's the worst.
I didn't catch that, but I fucking wish
He says, I was asked to join Mensa.
Because the wolf is like, you're a genius. Like, you had to have been so smart to do this.
This incredible Spider-Man reference. Did you catch that?
I think I blacked out those last couple minutes because
when
I have no idea.
Granny is on the ceiling.
And the drop.
Sweat.
Because it's the drop of blood from Spider-Man.
Yes, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a direct reference to that Spider-Man scene where it drops on the floor and Boingo says, I smell hairspray. And he looks up. Granny comes down. She's kicking ass. We got everyone fighting. Boingo lights the cable car with Red in it and he cuts the brakes. He says, she gonna die. So Granny
says, not on my cookie tray.
Granny skates, on a baking tin on the cable. And then the Germans are following. Everyone can somehow do that. Nikki Flipper, we talked about how he slows down Twitchy's speech. Granny saves Red from the exploding cable car. And then she's chased by Boingo and the henchmen. They use the hood. Call back, use the hood. And then the bad guys get arrested. Kirk and Wolf recover the recipe book. Thank goodness.
And then everyone kind of just lives happily ever after, dead ass.
Well, then we get a bunch of press questions. The media is asking all these people what happened. And then we see them at the end, they're all hanging out together. They're all friends now, right? They talk about how they're gonna use the goat's cart for
as
deliveries
the delivery service now. And then what's his face made it big.
Great idea. Kirk, is living his yodeling dream. So we love that.
Everyone's like, I don't want to see that. I'm allergic to yodeling.
Yeah, but the rest of them, the wolf, Twitchy, Red, Granny, they're just hanging out. And Flippers comes over and says, I want you guys to work for me. Some
Nick Fury motherfucker
putting
the Avengers together.
He says, I want you to work undercover for me, for the Happily Ever After Agency. And Granny says, bring it, honey. And that's the end.
And that's it.
And that's the end. And what an iconic movie. Why don't you go ahead and read some
Insane.
Letterboxd reviews?
Letterbox?
Or sorry, not Letterboxd, IMDb reviews. I'm gonna look up Letterboxd reviews, but you can read IMDb ones.
IMDb.
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 Okay. Like I said before, when I first watched this movie, I was kind of pressed about it. But then when Sarah started giving me all the background, I started to fall in love with it more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that the directors were like, we know it's fucking ugly, and like we're mad about it, but we can't do anything because we had to figure it out. Love it. Most of the reviews on IMDb, do you think they were positive or negative?
Positive.
Absolutely positive.
Yes.
Everyone was above a 6 at the least, mostly like 9s and 8s all the way around, 9s and 10s actually. And
it was all the critics in like the publications like New York Times and all that shit that were like hating the animation. IMDb reviewers, they're gonna be like, I love how ugly this is.
This shit is crazy. Yeah. And I had to look because I was like, I want to do one positive and one negative. I had to look for a negative. Where in reverse, most times it's like I have to search for a positive. This is the opposite. I've never had to look so hard for a negative, and it's the only 2-star review that I found after going through like a list of them. So here's a positive one, written August 2001. One of my favorite movies as a kid, still stands as an adult. This movie, what? Okay, wait, hold up. This movie has such great comedic points for both children and adults. First time I saw it, I was in 6th grade at the ripe age of 11 and remember laughing so hard I almost peed my pants. Here I am now, 14 years later. I almost read 14 years old and I was like, that's not an adult. 14 years later, so they're 25. And it still brings me so much joy. I feel as though this is a comfort movie that provides an excellent twist on a classic fairy tale, Shrek style, if I may, that brings joy and amusement, great for all ages. I also picked this one because it was the shortest positive review. All of the other ones are fucking
people are writing
narratives.
dissertations on this movie.
Insane. Here's the negative one. 2 out of 10. Little Red was here. Question mark? What in President Washington was this? Little Red Riding Hood on LSD? They wrote on twice. It turns into some sort of mystery as to who is responsible for the theft of other things. Each one tells a different story. It's whodunit plus Red Riding Hood. The end result is something you wish upon nobody. It sort of confuses the roles of all the characters involved. Somebody is working for somebody else, and it's just kind of silly in a bad way. And the characters that end up being the bad guy is not the one expected originally. It's like a twist.
It's like it was supposed to be like that.
Did I like the remix? No, but at least they tried that, and that's all I can give it. Overall, not very bad. D-. This was written in 2008.
Damn.
I don't know what this person was expecting.
The housing crisis.
They were pissed.
They were pissed at everything. Wow. I have some Letterboxd reviews here. Someone said Tarantino and Nolan wish they were this good at the structure. Someone said, I can't believe Anne Hathaway did 2 legendary films in 2005. Brokeback Mountain and Hoodwinked.
I love.
And that's true. Someone said PS1 graphics looking ass. Rashomon walked so Hoodwinked could call a taxi. It's a good one. I've never seen a movie more deserving of a Criterion release. This invented comedy and it needs to be said. Yeah, people really love this one. Remember when this invented cinema? Red's bell-bottom jeans, iconic. Yes. Anyways, and then we do have some tweets, just a couple of people saying what a banger this movie was. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Jared said, the way I was obsessed with this movie as a kid, I will be watching this one.
Love.
And then I never got any live tweets, so
Wow, sad.
maybe you didn't. Jake said this was the original Knives Out. Jose said, be prepared. That's all Jose said. And then
I wasn't, not for not getting sick.
And then at Real Michael WT said, saw it in the theater. I was shocked that the bunny was behind it all and that he dragged poor Keith.
Keith?
Uh,
Who's Keith?
Keith, remember, he's like, Keith, you need like a different name.
Oh, the one of his henchmen.
Yeah. I wish I saw, if this was in theaters now, this would be like an event. This would be like when we all said, let's get dressed up and go to the Minions. This would be like that.
Yeah.
It would be so, or like when you see Knives Out. Didn't you and I see Knives Out together?
I think so.
I think so. But like not knowing who it's going to be,
Insane.
sitting in the theater, the gasps. I wish I saw this in theaters, but.
Can you imagine? Okay, I want, you know how Harkins does those like limited.
Yeah.
It should do. This would be okay. You know how people were like making fun of Morbius enough for it to come back in theaters,
Yeah.
and no one saw it. This would be the complete opposite. Like they would want Hoodwinked to come back. It would come back, and everyone would see it. The theaters would be packed. When Be Prepared would come on, it would be a sing along.
Yes, it'd be like Rocky Horror. That's true. Okay, you know what? My birthday, we're gonna rent out a theater and we're gonna watch Hoodwinked.
And everyone's invited.
Yeah, just what an iconic film.
Legendary.
What are your final thoughts on this? What would you rate it out of 5 stars?
Listen, like I said earlier, I was gonna dunk the fuck on this movie, mostly because of how ugly it is. I could not get over how disgusting this movie looked, especially knowing everything that came before it. But knowing the production of it and the determination of these two guys, I have to love it now. Like I have to, not only for like the little nostalgia bits that it gives me, but also just because of the pure dedication to the craft. Like honestly, 4.5 out of fucking 5. Like I was gonna give it a 2, but it just got bumped like crazy. Amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not gonna give it a 5 because like obviously it's not perfect. The animation is horrendous. However, I think if the story about how it was made, if it was just like easily made, whatever, it would be like a 3.5 to me.
Yeah.
But like the fact that it shouldn't have been made, it somehow defied the odds and it got
This
made.
bitch crawled out of the gutter,
covered
covered in shit and piss.
I
and
will
wiped itself
also
off.
I will also give it a 4.5, I think.
It's insane. And like maybe Anne Hathaway and like all these celebrities shouldn't have been attached to it.
I want her, like if I was doing an Anne Hathaway interview, when they did her like breakdown of
Iconic roles of
why wasn't Hoodwinked on there? Like if I would ever interviewed her, I would only be asking about Hoodwinked.
She's like, I thought you were gonna ask me about like Devil Wears Prada and
No. But Hoodwinked, have you seen it? Because it's ugly, but it's so good. I would just go on and on about Hoodwinked.
like this is a movie that you could literally watch on LSD and probably have a good time.
It's just so good. Also, I'm noticing on the poster that everyone is like holding up like their little like prison things,
The placards, yeah.
And it has like their names, like Anne Hathaway is Red, Glenn Close is Granny, iconic. But then the Twitchy is holding one that says Anthony Anderson is Detective Stork. Because Twitchy isn't famous, it's just the director. But it's very misleading. You think Anthony Anderson might be the squirrel.
That's so terrible.
But he's definitely not. So that's interesting. But anyways, oh my god, I could buy on eBay. I could buy like when you go to Harkins and it has like the time and it has a little thin like bumper sticker looking poster.
Mm-hmm.
I could buy it for Hoodwinked. Wow. $15? Honestly worth it.
Honestly, if you could find a light box to put it behind, iconic.
Yeah.
You
Anyways.
said, and it's in my cart.
And I've instantly purchased. And I used buy now, pay later with Klarna.
Oh,
That was something. I'm glad we could talk about Hoodwinked, even though it's not streaming anywhere. Thank God.
Thank you for that Korean upload.
Yeah, shout out to the channel that uploaded it.
I tried to Google Translate it, but I couldn't type out the name.
Yeah, I don't know. It's in Korean and then it says film -genre. So
Icon.
shout out to that channel. Really saved it for us. And with that, let's give a shout out to the one, the only.
Iris is our podcast artist. You can check her out and all of her work on Instagram and Twitter at CreamsiclePanda. And you can check her out on patreon.com/CreamsiclePanda as well. Support people, support artists. Yeah, that's all I got to say. You know, my bit, I hate AI art. Support artists while they're alive. If you want artwork, just save up some money and spend it because you will be happy with the end result. And yeah, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. But you know what? Every artist has pennies and dreams, and we all aspire for our hoodwink moment to happen.
Wow. Yeah, in 2023, let's pay artists. I don't want to see any more AI art, sweeties. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and what's that? Tumblr.
What the hell?
At Planet Weird Pod. Yeah, follow us on Tumblr. We're reblogging and stuff, so say hi on there. Support us, please.
Give us money.
Leave a review wherever you're listening.
Say nice things,
especially on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. Very much appreciated. If you would like to support us on Patreon, monetarily, we very much appreciate that. As someone whose hours were just cut at work, I really appreciate the Patreon. Thank you to our patrons. If you support us at the $5 and up tiers, you get a shout out on the podcast, just like this. Woo! Thank you, Grace Worsbon, Shelby Deacon, Emily Palmer, Jared Van Leeuwen, Enrique Buenrostro, Vo, Jose Contreras Jr., Lindsay Britt, Natalie Hernandez, Aisa Yusuf, Fiona Hart, and Ivy. Silence.
Ivy Goat.
Ivy Goat. Ivy
As
Goat.
in the animal, not the greatest of all time.
Ivy Goat, be prepared.
Be prepared.
By the way, I forgot to tell you, Jared, speaking of Jared almost low-key spent the holidays with me.
What?
Because Jared was stuck. Because Jared was part of the whole Southwest.
The Southwest.
Hullabaloo. And Jared DM'd us being like, guess who's stuck at the Phoenix airport?
Oh my god, baby, you should have told us.
On like Christmas Eve. No, he did. And then he was trying to get a flight back to Utah because he was trying to go home to Texas, but it was a whole thing. But I was like, well, just keep me updated. But like, if you need somewhere to stay tonight, you can come stay with me. I was about to bring him to my holiday gatherings.
Your family would have loved him.
He was about to show up with us because I was like, yeah, why not? And my mom said the same thing. She was like, yeah, sure.
Work.
Because my mom said, I just wanted everybody to be together for Christmas. Anyways, merch, links in the description. I'm running low on shrimpy pins. I need to count because those have been flying off the shelves. Um, I'm gonna count how many of the like perfect ones I have to sell just at the regular price, and then I have some that are like have like the small flaws that I'll do like a bead grade lower price for. So I need to see how many of what kind I have. But if you want a shrimpy pin, I would order now because they are flying off the shelves, and I will not be remaking. So
Wow.
get them while they're hot, my
Okay,
guy.
pin business.
Links in the description, and if you're a patron of, I believe, $5 and up is where you get a coupon code for our store. So you could use your coupon code to get a pin. Anyways, let us know other stuff you want to see in the upcoming
Months.
year. Yes.
We still have Power Rangers Turbo, the movie.
Oh, not about movies. Not about movies.
Oh.
I meant about like any merch things.
Oh.
Movie wise, thank you to everyone who submitted on our Google form about like what movies you want us to do. I did map out our months, and we're not going to do everything that y'all said. You know, we can only do so many movies this year, but we did take a lot of your suggestions, and we will be doing some of those. Fuck whoever said Avatar, the one with the blue people. Fuck whoever's trying to make me watch Avatar again. But yes, thank you to those people. So we will be doing some cool movies this year. We'll let you know next week what February's theme is. But
Coolio?
no, that was not a hint.
Oh.
That was not a hint. But for
I'll
now,
just watch The Road to El Dorado by myself then.
For now, we hope you enjoy ANNEuary. Watch Princess Diaries 2 and let us know your thoughts if you would like. That's on Disney Plus. Not as hard to find as Hoodwinked. And then just watch any other Anne Hathaway movies just to get in. We're not going to cover them, but just to celebrate her.
Why not? She makes great films.
Her?
Great films.
And some great films. You're right.
You could watch the third Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises.
Mr. Wayne. I was about to say Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns as Batman. Anyways, we hope your 2023 is off to a good start. Thank you for continuing to listen to us. In March, it'll be 6 years of this, baby. Could you believe? Right.
Hopefully I'm not sick by then. Remember, drink your vitamins like Sarah just told me. Have some hot drinks. Don't drink cold stuff. Me drinking cold water last night, thinking about maybe I shouldn't be drinking cold water.
Yeah, you could probably just drink some room temp.
Yeah. Remember to keep wearing your masks. Keep wearing your masks out there, especially like in giant crowds. Like, I get it.
It's cold and flu season, sweeties.
Also, there's that new variant, whatever that shit that's going around or something or other from New York or whatever. But just be safe, y'all. Just be
from New York.
Smart.
Does it talk like this?
It talks when it enters your body, you talk like that.
Oh, I kind of love that. I kind of want it. Anyways, hope everyone's doing well. We will see you in 2 weeks for Princess Diaries 2, or we'll see you on Patreon for the jersey. But goodbye. Happy ANNEuary.
Happy ANNEuary.